Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co, and today I'm reviewing Divinus by Lucky Duck Games, although review might be a bit of a unfair word to use in this case. You see, Divinus is going to be a legacy-style game. Now, everything you see over here is going to be prototype. This is a game that's currently or soon to be on GameFound. There will be a link in the description down below. You can go ahead and follow or any of that kind of stuff. But Divinus is going to be a legacy-esque game that I can't fully review because I haven't fully experienced. I haven't even come close to the level of where I would feel comfortable calling this straight out a review. This has to fall under the first impressions category because there's going to be 12 missions in the full gameplay of Divinus. That's before we count for stretch goals, optional buys. I don't know what it's actually going to be on the campaign. I do know that they're going to have 12 missions, plus a infinite replayable mode, although if you watched my video from earlier today, I'll throw a link to it down below. Infinite replayable modes in most legacy games are rarely actually experienced and dived into, so we'll see how that actually goes. But from those 12 games that you're going to experience, I've only experienced 2, which means I don't feel I have the full picture to really call this a review so much as a first impressions video. I'll tell you what I encountered, what I liked, didn't like, my potential concerns, what I'm looking forward to, all of that in this game, although again, based on 2 scenarios out of 12. So, Divinus. I have 2 games under my belt already. That's what we got in the prototype. There's going to be gameplay on the channel. There already is gameplay on the channel. I'll throw a link down below. I had a gameplay with my wife for both the first and second game that we played. In this game, it is effectively a tile laying game with story in it. That's what we have so far. You see, the first scenario, I'll go through a quick overview. First scenario is going to have a bunch of tiles. Let's go ahead and do this a little more neatly without these falling all over the place. You're going to have a bunch of tiles on these various locations on the board, and you're going to be going ahead and rolling dice to gather those tiles. So you're going to have a bunch of tiles. Let's go ahead and set these up. Let's go ahead and put these over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So on your turn, what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and roll dice from your character box. Let's grab my character box and take these out, and you're going to roll your dice. And then you're going to take an action assigning those dice to gather tiles. So for example, maybe I take that 6 and that 4 and combine it to get that 10 over there. Although you can actually do negatives as well. So I can do 6 minus 4, 6 plus 4 equals 10, minus 1 equals 9, and I can go ahead and take tile number 9, adding it to my board. I'll keep spending dice as much as I want on various actions until I eventually reclaim them and then roll them again and rinse and repeat until the game end is over. The game is going to end when you have a 4x4 grid of tiles. That's what you're doing. So you're basically gathering these tiles to add to your grid. The point aspect, or the challenging goal you're going for, is you're going to be going for a variety of different objectives that will change up game to game. So for instance, in the very first game, you're going to have Ymir and Gaia are going to be giving you different points for having the largest of each terrain type, or the most of each terrain type. So you have different kind of factors. Do you want multiple small groupings, or singular large groupings, or perhaps, if you really do your job well, why not both? You're also going to have other goals you're going for in the game, other different quests you'll be going through. You'll be tracking those in the handy dandy app, which is very well done. It's a solid another app by Lucky Duck Games, very streamlined. Does a perfect job of asking, are you sure? Do you want to continue? I had 0 issues with the app in my experience so far. It's guiding you through some of the narrative aspects, it's guiding you through the choices, the stickers you're going to place, and then reading those stickers as you come back to it, because many things in the game are going to introduce a story element to it. Decisions you make are going to result in you putting stickers on the tile, stickers that will then show up in later scenarios, because the next time you take that tile in a future scenario, you're going to go ahead and mark these stickers on the board, almost as if you're exploring the tile. You're going to put things down and then encounter those things later. In game 2, things are going to be stepped up a notch. You're going to be introduced to 2 new actions over here. And again, keep in mind, this is prototype. Some things may escalate differently in the final game. This is all just we were given as a prototype. So you're going to have different actions. You're going to be able to spend your dice instead to be able to potentially put them over here, crafting various artifacts or adding more stickers to your dice. Same basic idea. On your turn, you assign a grouping of dice to a location. Then when you rest, you take back those dice and you're going to take any artifacts or stickers as you go, although the actual tiles you'll take back as you place them in the first place. And again, the general idea is trying to build out your scenarios, trying to get as many points as possible by trying to accomplish various goals from the gods or various individual quests as you go through it. That's basically what Divinus is, at least in my experience so far. My experience so far is going to be that it is a light tile-laying game with story, narrative aspects, and a degree of the game remembering things that happened that get you a little bit more immersed in this world. In fact, my initial comparison mentally from playing this game is going to be to comparing it to My City, which is another light polyomino tile laying game with legacy aspects. Now, I'm actually halfway through My City as we speak, so in both cases I don't know fully where these games go, but that is the first thing that came to mind. Divinus is going to have a lot of things that are going for it. It's going to have, first of all, the beautiful art. It's a legacy game. I generally like legacy games to begin with. It has tile laying, which is always a fun thing. It has the consequence of your actions, which is going to be a big thing and a big aspect of the draw, especially when comparing it to games like My City. Divinus is going to be giving you more of a narrative element to it, more of an aspect of the world that is building and being developed as you go through it. Let me just mute my phone, which I missed doing before. But it's going to be giving you that narrative aspect of the world as you go through it. So you're going to go ahead and put down a sticker, and the next time you explore that location, that decision, whether you built a fortress or explored the ruins, that decision has a consequence, a lasting effect to it. Something that you're going to be like, oh, remember that character over there, explore that location. Well, now you can do X, Y, and Z because of that. I don't know how far reaching those narrative pathways are. I don't know what the degree of consequences they have to the world, whether they are more more surface layer, or they actually dive deep down into the story. And that's because I've only, like I said already, played 2 games. So I've seen those narrative aspects and choices develop. I don't know how far down the rabbit hole they go. This game is going to have developed asymmetry in the game. You're going to start off with whatever god you pick, and then as you go through the story, as you take different choices and actions, you're going to be developing both your dice, both your artifacts that go on your board. There's going to be the aspects to the game that you're developing out your own unique characteristics and abilities. I like abilities. I like asymmetry. It's giving you that developed asymmetry in the game. The app, like I said already, was incredibly clean to use, continuing Lucky Duck's track record of just having solid apps that really don't bother me at all. I don't like app-driven games for the most part, and yet Lucky Duck games have consistently been exceptions, from Chronicles of Crime to Destinies, to Divinus. They are all giving me smooth, streamlined apps that no way take me out of the experience and have gotten me over that app-based hump. All that said, those are all a bunch of positive things about Divinus, but Divinus very much is a lighter style game. Specifically in my aspect, I don't mind light, to be very clear. I love My City, I'm looking forward to finishing Divinus, but I would say that one thing I do want to see more from Divinus is going to be the actions and abilities in the game. I want to see more from them, and I don't know how far down the rabbit hole we go. Those actions, those artifacts, those dice, those whatever it is you're doing in the game, I often felt like I kind of wanted more. I wanted my artifacts to matter more. I wanted those things that I can unlock or gather to feel like it's really a race. Specifically in scenario 2, when I'm going for those artifacts, they were nice, they were beneficial, but they weren't game-breaking. Nothing about them was like, no, I have to try to get those right away. Which one of those 2 am I going to choose? There was no angst around the decision, so much as, oh, I have a good pairing of dice. I guess that ability might be useful later. So I tried to slowly gather these abilities, but they had a those are nice aspect to it rather than a those are essential. Similarly, the story, other than 1 or 2 moments in the story, I didn't feel that wow, look what just happened in the story. Sure, we built a fortress. Sure, we encountered some barbarians. Sure, we made a choice here and a choice there. But more often than not, the choices and decisions and narrative in the game didn't have a degree of oomph to it that really pulled me in and had me invested in the outcome. There was one moment at the end of the second scenario where things took a dark turn and suddenly this world was a lot more gritty and twisted than I thought it was. And that was by far the best moment in the story. When I blinked, I'm looking at the app and I'm like, did that really just happen? Did we really just insert, spoiler text here over what went on? I want the story to matter more. I want that consequence. I want to feel like the world is being ripped apart and or formed as we play it. I would say the other con is going to be, and this is kind of a legacy issue I have in general, most legacy games I find have this issue for me, and Divinus is in the middle in terms of it's not the worst but not the best, is going to be the frequent interruptions in the game, specifically combined without having that degree of gravitas for those interruptions. So whenever you explore a new location, you're going to be pulling out your app, punching in the number of the location or scanning it. Once we have the final and prototype, we're punching in the number. In the final game, you'll be scanning it, but you're going to be scanning that little sticker and then having a little bit of text of what's going on. You encounter a feast, something happens. There's going to be interruptions from the quests you accomplish along the way. There's going to be a bunch of interruptions in the game as you do different things. And I respect that interruptions in a legacy game can add to the world building, but like I said, I want to feel like they actually matter. If you're going to interrupt my game, if you're going to frequently have me pulling up my phone and scanning a sticker, I want to feel like there's a reason I did so, that something crushing and defeating happened in this world. I want that gravitas in this game. I want those important actions and abilities and the story to matter more. As far as I can see, others not liking a few small things. None of them were issues for me in terms of this is a lighter game. I'm fine with that. But it's going to have dice rolling that can add an element of luck to it. There's going to be a bunch of mitigation, especially in those artifacts and abilities. But there's going to be a degree of dice rolling. It is very much a lighter game, like I said already. And as well as that, you can lose sight of the win-lose conditions in this game. This is a game where you do have a way that you're kind of winning each scenario or not. But you can lose sight of that as you play. You often feel like you're just going for your thing. You're trying to accomplish your quest. You're trying to fulfill your god's goals. And you can lose sight of any degree of win-lose. That might be a pro for some. It might be a con for others. For myself, in the game is trying to be, I didn't really care who won or lost. I just wanted to play the game, enjoy what I'm doing, try to do as best as I can, and then uncover the narrative as I go. But if you're looking for a highly competitive game where every single thing comes down to the points you get, it's not really going to have that feel, at least not in the games I have so far. As far as final thoughts and tentative rating in this game, Divinus, like I said already, is a lighter game. That's not necessarily a problem. It can be a problem for Kickstarter, for GameFound, for these environments where people want to spend their money on a heavier, meatier, dungeon crawler, Euro, whatever it is. For myself, Divinus is a lot of fun. I'm looking forward towards going through the rest of the game, but as of right now, if I were rating this game right now, based on what I'm experiencing so far, it would be a 4 to 5, but upgraded from a 3. Meaning, let's go through my rating system to begin with. Rating system is going to be 1s are bad games, 2s are games that are not for me or have too many small issues, 3s are generally good games, 4s are games I really enjoy, and 5s are just straight up the best games that I really like. Divinus to me is going to be, if I were grading Divinus on its own, it's a 3 out of 5. I enjoy it, it's fine, it's nice. The legacy elements of the game do elevate that for me. Again, legacy in general, I find can take a good game and make it better just by the very existence of the legacy aspect, just by investing you into that world in a way that gives you some degree of permanence and changes and evolution in the game. It's giving you a reason to keep on watching, so to speak, although in this case it's playing more than watching. Overall, I'm enjoying Divinus. Overall, I like the progression it's giving me, but there are things that I definitely want to see more of in the final game for me to really land in the this is the best game ever. Well, this is the best game ever, but to really land in the camp of Divinus being an amazing experience, I just want more from it. I want more consequence to the actions. I want more narrative permanence in the game. I want to kind of remember. One thing I've talked about them already is that I kind of want to see a story progression tab in the app, something that gives me a degree of understanding of what happened from game to game, rather than trying to remember who built that fortress, who didn't. I kind of want to be reminded of the story we are creating as we go through it. Whether it's through a progress tab, whether it's through more consequential choices or actions, I want the abilities to matter a bit more. Overall, Divinus is a solid framework of a game. If you like games like My City, if you like games that are going to be on the lighter side while giving you fun experiences as you go, Divinus is checking that box. But if you're expecting some heavy, over-the-top, amazing game with whatever, it's not going to be that. It's a 3 out of 5 in gameplay. It's a 4 out of 5 with legacy elements added that give you a reason to keep on exploring. And one thing it's worth mentioning is our games. We had 2 games out of 12. Our games were a half an hour long each. I assume and hope that the games will be longer, but they may not be. If each game is a half hour long across 12 games, you're talking about 6 hours of gameplay before you dive into the endless mode if you choose to go into that. Depending on who you are and what your gaming budget is, that's something to be mindful as you look at the Kickstarter. How much is this game costing, and is it worth the 6 to 12 hours of legacy gameplay it's going to give you? If I sound conflicted on this one, it's because I am. I like what Divinus has shown me so far, but I also want more from it, but also it's a legacy game that I haven't had the possibility of seeing more from it. Until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, have a good one.